the podcast with you because Paul, as you know, is late. Wasn't able to show up for the podcast. So you're stuck with me, your pal Kermit the Frog. This is legal, right? We can do, can't we?
I would highly doubt it.
Do you think the live stream will get muted? Or well, I mean,
I don't think
this is really.
I don't think it'll get muted. In fact, I don't think anybody will know nor care.
Does it matter? Oh, sorry. You could wait, well, watch it. Do you think that the fact that I'm an obvious knockoff would help at all? There's just
I don't.
something
Yeah, I don't think.
something
I don't.
odd about me.
I don't think we're fooling anybody.
Yeah. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, we need to.
As
We
they
need
say.
to crop your video a little bit.
Yeah, the
mean-
iPad needs to be a little bit higher up. It's
Now I
just
guess
really uncomfortable.
There's
for
a little
Paul to-
more appreciation for Muppets and their friends who help them
They're
along with
friends.
their day. Yeah.
They're friends. I will note that okay. Spoiler alert. You see, his hand goes through the back here
Oh dear God.
instead of up
Yeah.
like it would normally go.
Right.
So yeah, this was not constructed well, necessarily.
Is that are you?
I was only
are you-
$30 though.
Oh,
If
a
you can believe
bargain at any
Yeah.
price.
Hey, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Don't you have a friend named Rachel Jackson that makes puppets?
Yeah, I believe. Yes, I believe I do, and as well as your friend Paul. She's also a friend of his as well.
Paul's friend. Yeah, Kermit. Hi, yeah, it's me, Paul. Hello. Oh, hello. Hi, how's it going? So you're friends with Rachel Jackson as well? Yeah, that's right. Maybe Rachel should make you a puppet that isn't copyright violation.
Oh, for
Giraffe puppet doing this. Because the giraffe puppet doesn't talk. Oh, right.
a
So look, when I
podcast
close
between.
my lips.
You're closing
Sorry.
them.
When I close my lips, it looks weird. Look. That's me with my mouth closed. I think it's because the cardboard that I use for my mouth is really stiff. But it looks like I've got lip injections.
That'll wear out in time, or you just go with the Botox look and have a second life as a middle-aged frog.
Second life. I remember that. Okay. Anyway, so Ben, sorry that I was late.
Hey, were you late
the air
because you were
conditioning cut off right when I
you were
did that?
setting up? Were you late because you were setting that up?
Look, I'd love to tell you that was the reason I was late, but no, I was late because I am gainfully employed, Ben,
Yes, you are.
and sometimes that means that something could happen that you have to address. Look at this. Wow. Just full of meat.
Bag of mostly water.
I'm on a diet now. Based on suggestion from my doctor. The main thing is I'm cutting out trans fats. Or saturated
Yes.
fats and trans fats. So
Yes.
fat, apparently okay. Trans fat and saturated fat, no. And so I'm eating differently just based on that. I'm not eating like less or whatever. But I am also kind of eating less because I'm stressed, Ben.
You eat less when you're stressed. Is it
Stressed.
your stomach can't take it? Because I know that when I get
Um,
stressed. I can't eat, but I know that stress eating is a thing.
yeah, stress eating is a thing, but here's the thing with me, right? When I'm stressed, it's usually because of a there's usually a reason. And this is actually something that Jennifer said to me that I thought was interesting, which is that she wondered what it would be like to have something that your stress was tied to, because hers is usually like free floating anxiety. I'm going to try
Right.
this and see if this is better. No, not. Okay, let's see. Her stress is normally anxiety, like the world is going to end or
Of
whatever.
course. There's so many things to be stressed about.
Whereas my stress is more like, hey, this specific thing is happening and I don't like it,
Right.
basically. So there we go. Now you and I are kind of on par as far as head and shoulders, as opposed to hmm. hmm.
Mm.
Um. So yeah, I'm wondering if there's a way that I can describe the thing that I'm dealing with in a way that works. Um.
I've not really paid attention to trans fats and saturated fats. What sort of foods can you no longer eat
Oh.
contain those things?
Like all of my standbys, cookies, ice cream, all the
Just your whole diet.
cheeses.
You've just been living
Yeah, pretty much.
on saturated
My
fats.
my old bad diet. Here's what I can eat. I'm eating fruits and vegetables, um, mostly
Always good
bananas and
for you.
carrots.
Yeah.
Actually, here's the three bananas, carrots, and sweet potatoes are like the big three that I eat a lot of, and they're all really cheap, so that's kind of good. Um, Also, mini shrimps,
Yeah.
the little tiny shrimps,
Little tiny one.
spaghetti
The
sauce.
babies, the tiny baby shrimps.
Yeah.
Spaghetti sauce, just like you spoon out spaghetti sauce.
Well, and pasta. Like those two things together.
Oh,
You
okay.
can you can eat those two things together. It's really the butter that you might want to put on your noodles, or the cheese, that
Right.
are the
Yeah.
problem. Spaghetti sauce and pasta
You
pretty
can't
pretty
like
good
sprinkle
as far as that
parmesan
goes.
on top of your pasta anymore.
Right. Well, man, I mean, you could probably. Here's the thing. I mean, they have, like, guidelines and cut down. I am very much an all or nothing kind of
Right.
guy, so I quit all of it all at once, which is, okay. But no, I mean, like, here, let me see. I worked today for 10 and a half hours.
Wow.
Uh and this is basically, in a nutshell. I don't like talking about work, but I think I can talk in broad strokes, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm dealing with people who know more than me about a thing. Hey, this is how this thing works. And someone else who knows less than me about the thing says, hey, what about this thing? And I say, oh, okay, well, based on the people who know how this thing works, this is how this thing works. And I tell them,
Right.
right? And then someone else who knows more than me about the thing will say something different than what the first person said. And I will say, hey, this other person said this. And they're like, well, yes, they're right about that, but also this other thing is different. And then I will have to go and tell the other people, hey, remember how we said this? Well, this is not actually true. And I'm going to be even more specific. I can tell you,
And then
I can tell you this.
the first
In
person's like, that's not actually true. What I said goes.
Well, here's an example. Person A says, "Hey, um, like, give me Ben, because I don't want to tie to mine. Give me something that you work on with video, like something that you work on video. I'll translate what I do to that."
That's a very vague request. What do you mean? something I work
Oh,
on is
let's say
video.
you have a file. You have a file and you're going to upload it to Dropbox. How
Okay.
about that?
Sounds great.
Um, and you're working with two different people, right? Person A is. Do you ever do that? You have like two different people you work on. One guy is like the marketing manager, and another guy is whatever.
Why not?
Or do you normally have just one client? Okay, let's say you have two people. One person is the marketing manager who wants to use the video for their marketing thing, and the other one is the CEO who is the one who commissioned you to make the thing, right? And the CEO says to you, "Hey, when you get done with this, upload this video to this Dropbox. Both I and the media manager can get videos that you upload from this Dropbox, right?" And so you finish the video and you upload it to the Dropbox. And then you get a message from the media manager, "Hey, where's the video? It's supposed to be here and I can't, you know, I don't have it." And you say, "Oh, I uploaded it to this Dropbox," which the CEO said that you and he can get. And the media manager says, "Oh no, I see what's happening. The CEO wants to view the video for himself before I get a chance to send it out. And so he's had you send it to this Dropbox that I can't get to. Please send it to my Dropbox, which is this Dropbox," right? So then you're stuck in like a little thing of, well, the CEO said that we could both get it from this Dropbox and that I should put it in this Dropbox for both of us. Now I've got this other person who's not the CEO and yet someone I'm still working with telling me that the CEO is wrong and I should do what they want me to do.
Yeah. It
And
sounds like you
you,
are trapped being, in the middle of two people who really should just talk to each other.
right, exactly. And now imagine that the CEO is on vacation, right? That's kind of the sort of thing that I do now. A lot of running around asking people if what I have been told is the truth, or if the truth is somewhere else. That's kind of a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
And so, if I have a podcast that starts at, 6 and it's 6:50 and I have an email that I need to send out about something, and someone just tells me something that's different than what I originally thought, then it's a rush to try to, answer the thing, right? But let's be real. Let's be real for a second. Didn't happen at 5:50. It happened at like 3:50. And I spend an hour running around trying to figure out, who the right person is and write it. It's a lot of
Yeah.
the writing the email is actually kind of easy once I get all the facts together,
Right.
basically.
I was in a similar situation when I worked at the school photography company. And it was one of those instances where the people, even inside the school, didn't talk to each other. And so
Yep.
more than one day, I would get there with my crew and I would find, let's pretend it happens in the library. So I would find I would go to the office and find like the vice principal who's in charge of picture day. And I say, where are we setting up? Where's picture day? And she says, oh, it's in the library in the far corner. And we're like, great. We go to the library, we start setting up in the far corner, and the librarian comes in and it's like, what the heck are you doing? You're not supposed to be in here today. I have class all day. And I'm like, well, the vice principal said that we're doing picture day in here today. And the librarian says, well, she's wrong. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, and me as the outside contractor, and as somebody who's like, it's like 7:00 in the morning, I'm pretty salty. I just want to say, well, then you go talk to the vice principal. But
Yeah.
but no, I'm like, all right, well, I'll go talk to the vice principal, and then It's a whole thing. So yeah, I know from where you come, because that seems like it's a it's part of business, is being the
Yeah.
middle person between two people who sometimes refuse to communicate with each other.
And here's the thing that I have a benefit of that a lot of people don't. Whenever I get upset about, oh, this is too annoying or whatever, I think back to being on a building in, you know, 90-degree heat with a whole bunch of people yelling at me because I'm taking too long getting down from a ladder. I'm like, okay, well, at least this isn't happening. At least I can be inside. At least I can use whatever bathroom I want to around here, that sort of thing.
I can
Hey,
turn my microphone off and yell to everybody, and they won't hear me.
oh yeah, yeah. Here, let me try this again. All right, here's this guy.
Hey, Kermit.
Hey, can you see Paul's head?
I can not just his head. I can see his shoulder and arm as well.
Oh no. Okay, well, dang it. At first I was like, here's the deal, right? You're on a Zoom call, you just collapse, and then you had the puppet come in and talk. But luckily, like I said, on my work, this is another thing. My work, I don't need to use video for Zoom calls. All of our Zoom calls are audio only, which is nice. But yeah, so hey,
hey,
the last time
you had a birthday since the last time we
yeah,
talked.
that's right.
Paul? You're now 50. Paul is 50.
I am.
Wow, the big 50.
I had a shirt. Did I tell you about my shirt that says I'm of course I know everything, I'm 50?
Yeah, you sent me a video of you and family in the car.
I was like, I did this on the podcast. I'm like, no, I did. Every time I talk to you, it's the podcast.
Although
apparently.
it was one of those things where I'm like, did Paul just record this one video and he sends it to everybody who texts him happy birthday?
No, it was only to you. Okay. And yeah, do you know Jeff Soul? Was Jeff ever on the podcast? My friend Jeff?
I believe at least once. Yeah.
Yeah. So he recorded a podcast with his friends in a park talking about simulation theory. It was very nice of him. He knew what I wanted, which was attention from strangers.
Oh, so like you went to the park and recorded this podcast with him?
No. He and two of his friends did a podcast where they just talked about A Glitch in the Matrix, the documentary.
In honor of your birthday?
Yeah, which was nice. And again, like I said, he knows what I like. But yeah, it's interesting that I'm not doing social media anymore, because that's really kind of my bread and butter was these people I don't know liked what I said.
Right. Yeah.
Apparently having friends and loved ones like what you do is good also, which is something. But
having strangers like it mean even more.
I talked about you, by the way, Ben.
Well, I hope you said good things.
I'm sharing inside baseball on my discussion with the psychologist. He asked me about my friends, and I had as I started talking, I was like, oh, very few people, and you were number one. Sorry, Andy. But I was talking about the fact that you and I have done a whole bunch of things, and you have been very helpful to me, and I knew almost nothing about your life until Jennifer brought it up. Like she was like, okay, where did Ben go to college? I'm like, I don't know. UW. What was Ben's major? I don't know. Again, theater. What's Ben's grandpa's name? I don't know.
Oh, well, Erwin. I mean, yeah,
but yeah. So, every once in a while, I know something. Oh no, your middle name, is it David?
It is.
Ah, good. Your birthday? No idea. Absolutely none. When is your birthday, Ben?
You know it. I mentioned it just
Lock it
this
in.
last
Lock
time
it.
we had.
Lock it in.
We
Yeah, I know, but I didn't. Just here we go. I'm ready. I'm ready. Is it? Hold on. Am I gonna try to guess it? September 11th. No. March. Uh, March 1st. March. March shaky. March 7th. March 11th. March 10th. March 9th.
You got
March 8th.
it. You got
Wait,
it.
was it 9th?
March 9th, yeah.
March 9th. Oh, this is easy. This is easy. I can remember it from now on. I can remember it from now on. March, the song, easy, right?
In like a line
Is
out like
better than Beethoven's Ninth.
Beethoven.
Yeah, because April. Shoot. Okay, that's not gonna work. No, it'll still work. It'll still work. March. Wait, March 9th. March 9th.
I had
Okay.
a poster. I think it was for the Matrix, one of the Matrix sequels. And honestly, I can't remember which one is the first sequel. Is it Revolution? Matrix Reloaded? What was the first Matrix sequel came out on May 15th, and I had this poster in my home office for the longest time. It was like the green, code text.
Yeah.
And it just said 5:15. And I had that in my bedroom for like years. And I'm like, hey, every time I looked at it, that's Paul's birthday.
Yeah, 5:15 also, as we mentioned, birthday of L. Frank Baum, who did Oz.
Ah, yes.
Which is a story of a little girl who gets sucked up in a tornado and
dies immediately
in a prison for violent offenders.
There was a
Oz. It's a joke.
There was like a newspaper blurb. I don't know if this is true, but somebody posted in the local TV guide a capsule review of The Wizard of Oz, and it's like a young woman is whisked off to a fantasy land. She kills the first person she sees and then teams up with strangers to kill again.
I like that. That's really good. Let's see. So Betty's really into the Muppets now. That's why I have that Kermit the Frog in the first place.
The Muppets are a great thing to be into.
We've been watching the Muppet Show. It's really good. Every once in a while, you get that thing at the very beginning saying, cultural sensitivity and all that. And then you're just waiting. You're just waiting for, okay, what's the thing that it's going to be? Usually
how are you watching it? Is it streaming or is it
Disney Plus
on DVD? Disney Plus. Usually racism. So is like Kermit in blackface in some?
I've not seen that. I've not seen that. There's one especially.
If anybody was gonna do blackface, it's gonna be Fozzie Bear.
The Spike Milligan episode.
Okay.
Which I remember. Okay, so let's talk about the Spike Milligan episode. I was a little kid living in Illinois. I believe I was in Pontiac at the time. And I saw this British guy who was crazy on this show. And it was the most amazing thing I had seen. It was Spike Milligan on the Muppet Show. And I like, he was wild and a lot of insane things happening. And I was like, this is so great. And then, as you know, the Muppet Show, not on TV that much, not streaming that much. A lot of it was because of music, the rights to the music that they had on the show. Because a lot of songs and stuff like that they had were old standards, kind of, but also, so it was weird. Anyway, Spike Milligan's episode was the first one that I went to. I'm like, oh, I'm going to see the Spike Milligan episode. And that warning came right at the very beginning. And the Muppets were having a salute to all nations.
Oh, God.
Which meant Muppets that were supposed to be from China, Muppets that were
Yeah.
supposed to be from the Middle East, and lots of it was stereotypical. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe this. Well, you know, it's too bad that Spike Milligan, one of my favorite comedians ever since I was looking, one of the first comedians I ever saw as a kid. Um, don't know a lot about him, but I'm pretty excited. He, as a human, did his own take on people of all nations. And wow.
I'm actually surprised Disney kept that in. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know what the entrance, the opening says. Like, it was wrong then, and it's wrong now.
Hmm.
We are keeping it in
Yeah,
as a sort of like, in its historical context. Warner Brothers does the same thing for the Looney Tunes cartoons from that era that
yeah.
are extremely racist. But Disney also has a history of just deleting stuff they don't want people to see in
Yeah,
their
well, there
catalog.
there are two episodes that aren't on for sure. One is the Brooke Shields episode. I don't know if there's anything wrong in the Brooke Shields episode, or if it's just that there was something that they couldn't clear content wise, like or copyright wise, like maybe
Right.
there was a song that they did or whatever. I do know that she was 14 at the time, which sort of leads into the other one that never showed up. There was a time when Richard Pryor was unable to make it, and so instead, they had on this other guy who apparently was working maybe as a writer on the show, maybe doing something else. But later on, he was arrested or convicted or charged or whatever with, I believe it was child pornography. It was something of that nature.
Yeah.
And then that episode just is not available anywhere except
Yeah.
YouTube, which it is on. And
I'm
I have not watched it.
I'm actually not surprised that they may have taken the Brooke Shields episode out because she was extremely sexualized as a minor. And so, as a host of the Muppet Show, maybe they leaned into that a little bit too
Yeah,
much.
I
Like
don't know. I
maybe
mean,
maybe Fozzie Bear made some overt gestures to young Brooke Shields
Betty
on the
and I
show.
talk about the fact that the Muppets are horny in general on the Muppet Show. Not only are the Muppets horny, but people, human women are horny for Kermit, is one of the other things that happens on the
I
Muppet
don't
Show.
remember that at all. Like Sophia Loren is wanting to get into Kermit's no pants. He doesn't wear pants,
Well,
but
I don't know about Sophia Loren. I haven't,
I just
but
pulled that name out of the hat. But
there are other, yeah, there are other
Phyllis Diller. She sounds
things
like she'd be
where
into Kermit.
people fighting with Miss Piggy over Kermit,
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah,
thing. It's just all really, really interesting when you see it as an adult. But it's a great show. It's a great show. Oh, and actually, the whole reason I brought this up is because, and I didn't really think about this at the time, but if you watch the early Muppets, like we're in season one, right?
yeah,
And you watch Gonzo,
yeah.
who's a performance artist,
Oh
and you
no.
think of Goody Lawrence at the same time, it's kind of incredible. There's some stuff that he does that's very similar to things that we did. And I don't know if it's because, I remember seeing him as a kid and maybe he was a role model for me and I just forgot about it, or if it's just, performance art and that's
Yeah.
something that you just do.
It's interesting. I'll
But
have to go back and watch them because I had a DVD set and I believe it was the first season of the Muppet Show. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't remember those disclaimers being in front of the episodes. I think for this specific DVD set, they might have just taken all that stuff out to release it.
yeah, interesting. Let's see what else is happening. I think Succession has its last episode this coming Sunday.
Yeah, the final episode.
I don't know if Barry is having its final episode or if it is going
Barry
on.
No, Barry, I don't know if the upcoming episode is going to be the last one or if there's going to be or if it's the penultimate episode. Actually don't know how long their season's going to be. But a lot of great shows are coming to an end. Ted Lasso is going to have its last episode this week
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
or next
We
week.
aren't done. I mean, we aren't fully up on that. I don't know if Jennifer is
Yeah.
still watching it or not. It might be one of the ones that I like start watching myself
On your own.
by myself. Yeah. Um, but we have been watching Silo. We're not at the most recent one, but we've been watching that.
I haven't seen it.
Let's see. I watched all of Mrs. Davis. I thought that was really good. That's over now.
On Apple TV Plus, there is a David Attenborough hosted show.
Oh, the dinosaur thing?
Yeah, and they just released the second season, and it's pretty bonkers how realistic it looks. It's amazing. It almost looks like, Blue Planet or whatever, Planet Earth with dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, when you think about, you've got, the special effects that we have now,
yeah.
it makes sense. I'm really interested to see what happens or what's going to happen with AI as it starts going into the TV realm. The fact that you can't copyright stuff that you make with it, at least that not in the US, it seems like, seems like corporations, if they're not working on it, they definitely should be working on it. Like Getty Images and all that, but also like Disney, right? Disney should be training stuff on all of their things and all that. I'm saying this should, in their view. It's bad. Let me just say that. But we are coming to a post-human content era, or we might be, where there are, and this is why the writer's strike is happening, of course. Or one of the reasons why we're on the backs of the content created for the company. When you sign away things, like I've signed contracts before saying that they can use my likeness in perpetuity, right? At the time that I signed it, did I think, oh, well, they could just create a Max Headroom style Paul Goody and have him do stuff? No. Does that sound like a dream come true for me if my consciousness were somehow able to transfer to that? Possibly. But, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, there was not just a writer strike, but a member. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Justine Bateman, who is the president of SAG-AFTRA right now.
She was president of SAG-AFTRA for a while. At least,
yeah,
I know that
she might still be, if not, but she's still tweeting on behalf of them, and she's like, actors, you cannot sign contracts that have this stipulation because producers are champing at the bit to use AI to recreate your performances. We have to do everything we can to not let that happen. We are at an inflection point right now, as you mentioned, that we're going into a post-human created content world. I mean, there will be humans behind it, behind the camera, telling the AI, I want Matt Damon in a romantic comedy with, Phyllis Diller when she's only 35, that kind of thing.
Well, the thing that I still feel is possible. This is what I said when I was using Midjourney still. And again, let me just say, when I was still using Midjourney, even now, knowing that there is a moral quandary assigned to it, and knowing that I made the choice not to use it because of where people I love stand on that moral quandary, not a day goes by when I'm like, man, oh man, if I could, I would just be doing that all day instead of anything else. Just like, running that thing, because seeing a new image that comes up based on the stuff that I wanted, and it's honestly, one of the coolest things I've seen in my entire life. You
got
incredible.
Addicted, my man.
Yep. So one of the things that I think absolutely will happen, people say, oh, this is the end of artists, yes, it's also really the end of production companies if the right piece of software gets out there.
Yeah.
If the right piece of software gets out there, you, Ben Lawrence, will say, "Give me a romantic comedy with Phyllis Diller and Ben Affleck as they try to, double cross Sid Caesar or
Well,
whatever."
it's
And
it's it's funny. That whole thing was brought up with Justine Bateman saying that because she brought up this concept of going to a movie theater and putting in the kind of movie that you wanted and watching that movie, and like that's
yep,
something that we've talked about here for years.
yeah, and it's when we talked about it, Ben, and the people can go back and look. How many episodes have we got? Tons.
This is episode 378.
378 episodes. So more than a year's worth of hour-long shows. If you watch one show or listen to one show
That's
a day,
7.2 years
7.2
of
years.
podcast. We've been doing this for over 7 years.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant if you
Regularly.
listen to it. Okay, so wait.
No, if you listen to it back to back,
How many
you'll
hours? How many hours are there
in a day.
in a month?
Let's see.
Let's see.
24 hours in a day
times 30.
30 is 720.
720. And what? How many episodes are we at?
378. What'd I say? 378?
So half a month. Almost half a month. If you just started listening now, you would have 2 weeks sleeping, listening to. It's crazy.
You would go insane.
You would hear us. It would be the Tetris effect, but Ben and Paul. Like anything you looked at, you would imagine you and I
just
talking
hear our
about that
voices.
thing.
I definitely would do that because my brain certainly gets infected with voices I hear for a long time at once. Like if I'm on a set somewhere and I'm like operating a camera and the director is talking, for that night, every thought I have in my head is in the voice of that director.
It's one of those situations too where when I was a kid, if I went to Six Flags and I went to bed and I closed my eyes, I would see tourists walking around kind of in front of my eyes and stuff. Hey, speaking about that, I, Paul Goody, have never had hallucinations. And that question came to me from, yes, Ben, I'm going to talk about it. I had my psychological evaluation. Now.
Yeah, I mean, you already brought it up where you talked about your friends.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So anyway, yeah, talk about my friends. 2 weeks from that meeting, which was, I remember this distinctly. It was the day after my birthday, May 16th.
May 16th.
2020. This is why I'm always going to be able to remember it. The psychologist that I spoke to confirmed that I am on the autism spectrum, but also, now Ben, this may be hard to believe, but I have a lot of symptoms of ADHD. Now, the reason I say this might be hard to believe is because at one point in time I was diagnosed with ADHD by Dr. Bart Mueller in Seattle, Washington. I believe around 2002. And then I went to see another psychiatrist. But he also said, I think that you might also have, at the time, it was called Asperger's,
right?
Which we don't use anymore. It's now part of the autism spectrum. Right, people still do. It's hard because there were some people who made. I thankfully missed this time period because I did not have the diagnosis at the time, but Aspie Life and Aspie became a thing, and they had shirts made, probably, whatever, and a lot of people, when they said they were taking that term away, were mad. And then it's like, okay, let's be on the right side of history. Do you know why they're taking it away? So this is always, and luckily for me, right, I am first and foremost Paul Goody, and the diagnosis that I get will change as the DSM changes, but I'm still pretty much the same guy. So that happened though. That meeting happened. Apparently, I'm also very smart.
So Dr. Bart Mueller diagnosed you with ADHD
in 2002,
so 21 years ago. But this psychologist that you spoke with said you have symptoms of it, but they didn't diagnose you with it?
Oh no. I mean, no. They did. It was okay. I'm using the terminology. I'm going to get a report that has all of that in there. But the main thing is, when you have symptoms of, because of the way the thing, if you have a lot of symptoms of something, you have that diagnosis kind of.
Yeah. So here's a question. Here's a question for you then. I know somebody who actually was diagnosed with ADHD and anxiety and presented that diagnosis to their employer as a medical condition that needed to have certain exceptions for them in terms of work. It turned into a whole thing because this organization didn't refuse to acknowledge it and blah blah blah. Bad scene. But my question to you is, with this new diagnosis, are you going to petition your job to make accommodations for you in terms of acknowledging this diagnosis and making exceptions for you with certain job duties that don't jive with your personality?
So here's the way that, I mean, again, we're skating a very thin line because I don't talk about work, as you know, but as we've seen earlier in this episode, I can talk about things in general sides of things. Here's what I will say. While I can't say for exactly, right? I will say that my employer does solicit information from its employees regarding things of this nature, and has been known to accommodate people when they have requests that come up. I will also say this. I work from home right now.
Right.
And anything that I would want to have included in an accommodation is currently already covered by the fact that I'm working at home. The big thing is that were I to ever go into an office, were I ever to start working in an office environment, there might be some things that I would try to get. Because
my own private bathroom.
No, nothing like that. Mostly,
I try to get that.
Mostly, it's. I mean, I'll be honest, and I'm going to go into my not with this company. I'm just talking about things in the past with other companies, specifically Amazon.com, for example. There were things that I got in trouble for that, were accommodations a thing, would not have been an issue.
Right.
My behavior in meetings, for example.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. One, I'm older now, and I think I have a better way of working. But there are situations where if I'm like, I'll give you an example. And it's weird. I'm separating this from my work, right? If I'm in a situation where I have to sit down for a really long time, eventually I need to get up and walk around, right? Sometimes when I'm thinking, I do this.
Yeah.
Which, if I'm on a phone call and there's
for those
no
on
video,
the podcast, Paul has his face in his hands.
Oh yeah, that's right. This could have been anything. I'm basically
I do this palms. When I think.
Yeah, exactly. Ben is flipping off the camera. I put my palms over my eyes and I curl my fingers over the top of my head, and I lean all of my weight so that I see nothing but blackness. Um, it helps me think. It helps me concentrate. It removes distractions. Um, I was in a situation at one point in time in a job situation where um, I was doing that, and the person who was running the meeting called. They weren't mad at me. They weren't being a jerk or whatever, but they stopped and they were like, "Are you okay? What's going on?"
It
Things
does
like
look
that.
like you're crying, or at
Right,
least
exactly.
emotionally like fragile at that point.
So I would basically just want permission and go ahead to discuss, how things work with me and all that. And also, I know this sounds weird, but also maybe um some accommodations for others that have to work with me. Like you know, ground rules like setting up, I'm not allowed to walk into your office without knocking first. Things
Yeah.
of Again, I've been saying things of that nature so much, Ben. It's crazy. But things of that nature. You know, um I also am wondering, like, if something were to happen where I wouldn't have a job, if I would be able to get assistance finding a job, because that's one of my hard things is getting through the interview process. I do
Right.
very well once I actually get in, but you remember when
Yeah.
I do not present well to strangers when I show up. There's
I I don't interview well either, and
yeah.
it's I mean, and that's just due to stress and anxiety. You know,
Oh yeah, totally.
I'm a very good employee, but I'm a terrible interviewer,
And
interviewee,
people are often like, well, if you can't make it through the interview, you wouldn't be able to do. Incorrect.
which is
Incorrect.
BS, man.
Have your interview be me doing some stuff, and
I
maybe.
actually there was I knew somebody who got who part of the job interview. There was also like the traditional like phone screen, face to face interview, but this company with prospective candidates. I don't know. I don't know how if they did this for everybody who applied. I would doubt it because who's got time for that.
Mhm.
But the final hurdle to get a job with this company is you spend a day at the company working. They give you something to do and you do it, and they figure out how you interface with the team. It's like really like surface level stuff at that point, of course,
Yeah.
because they're not going to give you like trade secrets or anything. But I mean, coming from me, that sounds like really stressful, but actually it works out really well because people stay at this company and for a long time.
There's a position that's always open, 365 days a year.
Exactly.
Just
Yeah.
have
I
one
mean,
one person come in and do
I
that.
was, I was talking to them. I'm like, is this just they get free labor for a day? And no, you get paid. You actually do get paid for that day you're there.
Oh, well, well, well.
Yeah.
Now Paul is interested. No. So, hey, speaking also of Paul being interested, have you noticed at all that I'm growing a secret beard out?
A secret beard. I don't know.
Right.
You're
So
in the
I've got
dark
the
and you're too
mustache,
far
right?
away. I can't really see you.
So I've got the mustache. You can see the mustache,
But barely.
right?
Yeah.
The beard is overshadowed by the mustache, so you don't really know that the beard is growing in. And then you shave the mustache to be the same length as the beard, and all of a sudden you've got a beard again. This is what I'm trying to do.
Is that where
Growing
you're
my
going?
beard
I
out.
know because you were
I
you
think so.
were just for a
I'm going to be a
while,
mustache guy. Yeah.
Mr. Mustache.
There's something about me having a beard that I like. I like myself when I have a beard. I feel like I'm more competent.
Then grow your
I know
beard.
it
I mean,
sounds weird. Yeah, exactly.
that's a perfect reason to have one. I need to
So
shave.
we'll.
I've got the gray hairs. You can't really see in the
Yeah,
video,
no,
but
I mean I've got them. I've got them too, and that's part of the. Here's the thing. Part of the reason I had the mustache was vanity, right? I thought my beard looked dumb
yeah.
because it was white, and then but only in one spot, so it looked like I had just dipped my chin in milk. And I'm hoping that, well, I'm going to grow it out. I'm going to see where it's at. I might shave it off again. but I'm hoping that it's turning
Yeah.
whiter.
You could just ferment that stuff, or you shave it off.
Yeah, we'll see.
Uh,
We'll see what happens.
I just two things. I forgot. We. It's been 2 weeks since we spoke.
Yeah.
So Paul, I want to ask you. We still have like 10 minutes left. How's it happening?
Oh, Ben, very happy. How's it happening to you as well?
And the second thing is things that we say on the show a lot. Here's the thing, and the thing is. I mean,
Yeah.
you can make a drinking game if you drink out of those two things. To the person
Do
who is
both
going to lie in in a chamber and listen to our show for 2 weeks straight.
do both you and I do that?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I say the thing
What if
is more than here's the thing.
what if that person is me? What if I lie in a chamber and listen to our show for 2 weeks straight? Just
Like a sensory deprivation chamber, except for the podcast.
yeah. Wow. I don't know. I think that I'd come out of it
Strangest
unhealthy.
episode of Atlanta ever.
Yeah. Oh, hey. Speaking of Atlanta, I just read a little, or I listened a little bit to the director of most of the episodes talk about it.
Hiro Murai, right?
Yeah, and I knew Hero. I didn't know Mirai.
Yeah.
And I think 26 episodes. I want to say directed by Hero.
He did the lion's
Uh,
share.
And he mentioned that. I mean, he did the "This Is America."
Oh, the
music
Childish
video.
Gambino? Yeah.
Yeah, but he hadn't done a narrative show until Atlanta. And he said that a lot of the people on the show hadn't done television before, and they sort of, you know, grew up in that space, right?
Yeah.
Learned how to make a TV show by making Atlanta, which again, I got to say is one of my top TV shows of all time. And I find that really interesting that if they had known how to make a TV show, would it have been as good?
Well, I mean, you have Donald Glover, who'd been actually like there,
True.
who'd been writing for TV since he was like a teenager,
Yeah,
and spent all that time on Community.
Yep. I wonder if he directed an episode of Community. Sometimes that happens, right? Where they have the stars direct
I don't know
an
if he
episode?
did. Speaking of Community, there was there was an episode of Community that has been pulled. It's I think it's Advanced D&D.
Oh yeah. Though, yep, I know exactly why.
And I saw a like, we don't have to mention why, but I saw Yvette Nicole Brown defend it on some TikTok video or whatnot, and how like it just shows how ignorant everybody is. And even though Shirley in the show calls what Professor Chang does a hate crime, it just shows how ignorant Shirley is of D&D, and she's sad
Well,
that great episode has been pulled for that reason.
Well, here's the thing about that. I said here's the thing. That's why I was laughing.
Drink.
It is a really interesting question. So here's the way that I would look at it, and I'll even talk about the issue, what it was. So there are a race of elves in the Dungeons and Dragons lore that are known as, depending on who you listen to, the Drow or the Dro. I grew up saying Drow, so that's just what sounds right to me.
How is it spelled?
Who are DROW.
Okay.
So it could be Drow like bow, or it could be Dro like bow and arrow. It's made up. It's made up. So you can say it however you want to.
Row your boat.
So they have dark skin. Not just dark skin, like inky black skin.
Yeah.
And they live in subterranean areas, blah blah blah. And in the original lore, they were all canonically evil. They all worshipped this spider queen and were evil and all this kind of stuff. The subsequent years, there's a hero who is a drow, who has a lot of books written about him. They've changed a little bit about the culture. They've added some more nuance, so on and so forth. And there is a controversy regarding people playing characters based on people of color who aren't people of color. And famously, people will say, "What? So I can't play a drow anymore?" And the people of color who I followed, who were saying don't play people of color in role-playing games, were like, "No, that's different. These are fantasy creatures. I'm saying don't play a guy who is a black guy,
a human person of color."
Yes, or an elf coded as being African American, that sort of thing,
right.
because
yeah.
the drow aren't. But I will say this: in the community episode, the joke around him playing a character of that race is that it was similar to blackface. So they front loaded the episode with the problem, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would agree that that's a line that I personally, Paul Goody, would not have walked, or would not walk now. Would I have at some point in time when I was young and ignorant? Maybe so. I have done so many things when I was young and ignorant that now I still, every once in a while, think about it and go, ugh. Like, seriously, if you sit around me long enough and you hear me make that noise, it's because I've thought of something I've done when I was like 16 or something that I'm now ashamed of.
Same with me. If you sit around with me long enough and you hear me go, "Oh, motherfucker," that's when I thought of something that I did.
It's kind of weird, but there we are. We're guilty boys, Ben. That's
but it shows
part of our
that we've grown,
persona.
We've learned.
Yeah. As long as we don't do it again, and then when we're 10 years from now, think back to when we were this age and doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. I hope that I never stop growing. I hope that I always learn and do better. It's a good thing to always feel like you have become better than your past, I guess I would say.
I talk about that with other editors that I have a Friday or not every other Thursday happy hour with. Is that we all deal with that. We look at stuff we've done years ago, and it's embarrassing because we know a lot more now than we did then, and it's hard not to go back and like fix things. And I'm like, don't look at that like a thing you did wrong. Look at it as a way to notice that you've grown.
Yeah, George Lucas, I'm kidding. But still, I mean, I honestly, given and would we if we had the money and time and resources, would we not necessarily do the same thing, remake one thing that people like over and over to try to make it better? It's possible. But anyway, that being said, Ben, we are at the end of our episode.
We are at the
end. How's it happening? I do apologize for being a little bit late coming in. I try my best, but I also try to do my best in the other areas of my life, and sometimes that comes into conflict with itself.
Right.
I always want to do the best, and time slips away. Speaking of which, Fly Like an Eagle. Seal does a version of it.
Let my spirit carry me. I have not heard Seal's version.
You should listen to it. I'm going to spoil something for you. He's singing it, and it's good. And then at one point in time in it, he sings "In a Sky Full of People, Only Someone to Fly Isn't That Crazy" from his song Crazy. And when he does it, like now that I know about it, I'm always waiting for it. When I hear it, I'm like, yeah. Just
You
like I
like those
go,
song mashups?
it's the same thing. I listen to a podcast I'm a patron of, and whenever they read the people that are their patrons,
Right.
and they say my name, I always go, hey. I can't help it. It's just my spirit does it without me.
Indeed.
And in that,
And
Ben,
with
I'll
that,
talk to you more later.
talk
Yep.
to you later, Paul. I hope you have a very pleasant Keep It Wrong.
Thanks, Ben, and a merry keep it wrong to you as well. Talk